In Uganda, big families are considered desirable and children are a blessing. Unless you're still at school.
Pregnancy in pupils almost always causes great sadness.
Like the rest of Africa, Uganda is battling with huge teenage pregnancy rates.
Today, I'm saying no more to sex.
At Kamurasi Primary School, they're taking extreme measures to combat the problem. Children as young as 12 undergo compulsory pregnancy testing every term. There's an old saying in Uganda, girls are like fresh banana leaves. They're picked as soon as they're big enough. And that's exactly what Mr. Ntaraho, the headmaster of Kamurasi Primary, is trying to change.
Good morning, Kamurasi Demonstration School.
Good morning, sir.
This morning, his students have gathered for assembly as usual. But Mr. Ntaraho has a serious message for them.
You should say no to sex.
And when it comes to sex education, he favours the direct approach.
Yeah, come. Now, if there are some of you who are always being used by your parents as a source of income, come and tell me. One time, I had a girl of this size here. They would send her to a boy to get 1,000 shillings so that they could have food. She ended up being pregnant, though it was not her wish. But she was being used as a source of what?
Income.
Now, this is what we have been campaigning against.
In the fight to keep his female students in school and out of sexual relationships, the headmaster refuses to be embarrassed.
If you know that you have breasts, can you put up your hand? If you know you have a breast on your chest or you have breasts on your chest, put up your hand straight. Now, what about those?
Since joining the school, he has pioneered a system of pregnancy testing.
35% of girls here who have dropped school normally go when they are pregnant. But with this kind of method, it has tried to reduce a bit, at least to 20%. Some people still have that culture that a girl can get married when he's at 14. So some parents still encourage their children to go in for men at an early stage. They are not valuing education.
The threat of medical examination is Mr. Ntaraho's best weapon against teen pregnancy.
I'm planning any time the doctor will come. Might be next week or any time. And when he comes, we shall pick each and every one. Whoever has breasts will go for medical examination.
We want these children to stay as children, and with this examination, we shall still achieve that. Yeah.
One student who has reason to be worried is 19-year-old Theyre. Theyre takes school very seriously. She's always the first to put up her hand in class.
Theyre.
Theyre?
Theyre.
Theyre?
It is for me important to stay in school because in future I can become an important person. I would like to become a nurse.
At 19, Theyre is one of the older students at Kamurasi. She didn't get the chance to start school until she was 12. Her family could not afford to send her until the government made primary education free in 1997. But Theyre's enthusiasm for education has had a darker influence on her personal relationships.
I got a boyfriend because I wanted to stay in school. When I met him, I was a virgin. The boy followed me at night. He asked me that he would like to tell me some words. I said no. From there, he cut me and pulled me up to his home. That is when we had sex from there.
Saidee was forced into sex at first, but she continued the relationship in return for school books and pens.
I told him I'm lacking some pens and books. I got that boyfriend to ask those things because I wanted to stay in school to continue with my studies.
Come in, Saidee.
Frightened by the prospect of the doctor's visit, Saidee decides to consult her headmaster.
Have a seat. Morning. I want you to be open and you tell me the name of your boy.
He's called Cassiano.
Cassiano.
My mother sent me home that I go and I cook for the children. That is when he followed me.
And that man followed you?
Yes.
Was that your first time?
Yes.
Did you report?
No.
No.
Mr. Ntaraho tries to discover why Saidee has continued the relationship.
Can you tell me some of the reasons that led you to love this man?
When I asked some needles of things which I use at school to my father, he just started to abuse me. He said that he don't have the money.
Now, you chose to go in for a man so that you can get some of these school needs, when actually this man is using you, exploiting you. We should not accept gifts for sex.
Yes.
These men you are seeing, they are deceiving you. They love you because you're in school. But the day they pregnant you and you deliver, they will not think of you again.
Pregnancy is Saidee's greatest fear. She has not had a period for 2 months.
I'm worried I might be pregnant. When I'm pregnant, before completing my studies, I can break out from school and I stop schooling.
These girls, at times their future is destroyed because many of those who are pregnanted early, they have failed to continue with their studies.
But not all pregnancies are so unwelcome. Across town, secondary school art teacher Mohammed Masoke is excitedly expecting a new addition to his family.
Bye-bye. Good morning, students. Can we look at her work? If you had present this one for mark reading, you will get a high grade. But as far as art is concerned, your marks brings you a bit lower.
Mohammed has been teaching at Masindi Secondary School for 8 years.
Now, how am I going to come over there to supervise you?
He loves working with children
Wow, this is great.
and is keen to have more of his own.
Children is something very lovely to have at home. Much as they can make you a bit disturbed, but let them go away for a day or two, you feel that you are really missing something great.
Yeah, I wanted only 4, but he wants around 10, which I can't manage.
No.
How
10
many
is
do you
too
want?
much. Okay, 5 would be an ideal number.
Why?
Or to balance the equation, 6 would be an ideal number.
Mohammed's wife Amina goes for regular scans at the hospital where she delivered their daughters Rashima and Rahima. But pregnancy isn't always easy.
It's so tiresome. At times you feel you are not happy, times you are happy, times you are sick, you are lazy, appetite you don't have, times you want to eat this, it's not there. Maybe.
But I try.
You try, okay. But then at times when I need it, when you are not there, maybe when you are at school.
Mohammed prides himself on being a good father and husband.
What makes him a good father? What makes you a good father?
I'm so loving and caring. Am I not so loving and caring?
You are.
At Kamurasi Primary, there's no escaping sex education. Just say no is the school's principal message.
You say no to sex.
Mr. Kiiza takes the older children for sex education classes and tries to encourage them to stay virgins.
At marriage ceremony, if the lady, if she's found a virgin, instead of the cow which her family asked, the husband who has taken her, the next day might even bring 10.
Are you fearing? But do you think your mother can beat you?
Mr. Ntaraho is going home with Sadir to explain her situation to her parents. He wants to be present to make sure they don't punish her.
According to the findings, Sadia tells me there is a boy here who is ever disturbing her. Ndiyo is called Kasiano. Unajua ye? Ma.
Sasa kitu gani natuma yeye kupenda wa kijana?
Saidia.
My father, sometimes if I ask him from him, he refuses to give.
Yeah, but now, as I have told you, nkairi nawe. Kintu kuba kitalo tikikumanyiso yende basaija. Ukure saidia.
One time maybe you had a problem of maybe to buy some books, but a boy influenced you, used you that I'm going to give you some 5,000 notes or 1,000 notes to have books, to have pens, to have good shoes, refuse free gifts, as we stated, refuse free salt, refuse free sugar that you can get from people to use you as the sex what? Desire.
Sadir's mother has particular reason to be upset by the possibility that she's pregnant.
Could you tell me the problems that you could experience today if you became pregnant? What are these problems?
Consequent death.
Consequent death. You talk loud. Next. Premature birth. Next. Drop out of school. Haven't you seen some of our friends here who dropped out? They delivered at another stage. They go carrying their babies, selling some of small things in markets. The other time we were talking about Maureen. She was very bright here, but she dropped out. Today I normally get her in market.
Maureen Ayisaka dropped out of school at the age of 13 when she became pregnant. Maureen now sells maize flour known as posho in the local market. She lives on the breadline and represents everything that Mr. Ntaraho is trying to prevent.
Yes, Maureen.
He visits her regularly in the hope that one day she will be able to come back to school.
It's okay. How is everything? If by now you would be in senior what?
Senior 2.
Senior 2, you see? And how old is this baby now?
1 year and a half.
1 year and a half. What counseling did they give you?
I go and produce, then I come back to school.
And maybe if you finished school, what job would you like to do?
I'd like to be a teacher.
You'd like to be a teacher? You want to be a teacher? And become an example to the rest, the young ones, so that you can tell them that giving birth at an early stage is bad.
But Maureen is not likely to go back to school anytime soon. The problem is money. She can't afford to study with a baby to support.
You're crying.
I want to go back to school.
Tell me, why do you sell posho?
To get the money for looking after the baby.
Delay sex to stay in school. By the time you are giving birth, you find that we get suffering when we are still young. And after getting suffered when we are still young, we die when we are poor, we stay in a poor way, we die in a poor way, and we are buried poorly. So the vicious cycle of poverty continues within the home from A to Z.
It's DJ Smart on BBS FM talking about the big African families. A very good Ugandan would wish to have lots of sons and daughters to support him in his old age. But brothers and sisters, let's not forget that children need a lot of money in this modern world. So I suggest, why not produce what you can afford to maintain comfortably?
Money is preying on Mohammed's mind. His teacher's salary is not sufficient to support his growing family, so he has a farm outside town where he works at the weekend.
Bringing up children is very, very expensive. In order to survive, really, you need to be so creative so that you get an extra earning other than what you get from a salary from teaching.
Across town, Amina is also preparing for the birth of her new baby. In the hairdressers.
I'm expecting any time from now.
And which baby do you expect? Or which one do you like?
I want a boy because I have 2 girls, so I need to mix.
Your husband expects a baby what?
Of course, a boy also.
Mohammed and a group of his colleagues have pooled their savings to embark on a new business venture. They're building their own private school as an investment.
Once this project takes off, I really feel that I'll be in position to meet my family obligations.
The arrival of his new child is never far from Mohammed's mind.
The first and second borns were daughters, so I keep my fingers crossed and prayers to God that he gives me a son.
With the baby due any day, Amina is packing her hospital bag. She has to take everything with her, including a kitchen sink.
You have to go along with the basin because, okay, if you are having that labor pain, they don't allow you to go to the toilet. Because at times you can think that you are going for a long call when actually it's a baby coming out. So instead of throwing the baby in the pit latrine, it's better you throw the baby in the basin.
At Kamurasi Primary School, Mr. Ntaraho has an important announcement to make.
I'm going to invite the doctor this afternoon to do the checkup. You are going to be proved with exam. If you have tested, you are going to be proved. Especially my P7s, you.
For Zaire, this is the moment of truth. If she's pregnant, she will have to leave the school.
I'm worried I might be pregnant. It's for me bad to leave school because I could miss the things which I prepared to be in future.
Stand somewhere there beyond.
Mr. Ntaraho spends much of the morning sorting 400 of his oldest female students into groups, trying to work out which of them should see the doctor.
Let me see you stand this side and I see you. Aha. If you are this size also, come and stand here. Stand up. You're supposed to be there.
Every girl who has hit puberty is automatically checked each term. The students themselves help Mr. Ntaraho identify the sexually active among them.
Can you tell me whom you suspect? Who should be also checked?
What about Esther? Esther. What about Esther? Esther.
But not everyone is keen to be tested.
Where is she hiding?
In the toilet.
Madam Manit, can you go for someone who is hiding there?
Kusemerera, please, we want you. Kusemererwa.
Why are you laughing?
By the time the doctor arrives, Mr. Ntaraho has selected 70 girls to be examined.
Are you welcoming them or not?
One of the classrooms becomes a temporary clinic. and the medics go to work. One by one, the girls are given an external examination. When pregnancy seems likely, urine tests are carried out.
Is it urine? What's the smell?
The settings
Saidea waits anxiously outside with the other girls. Soon, it's her turn.
Okay. Do you have any medical problem?
I have missed menstruation for 2 months.
You have missed menstruation for 2 months. So for 2 cycles, you have not seen the period. I want to check a bit inside. Yes. We want you to give us a sample of urine. In most cases, the urine test can give us the possibility of pregnancy. If you have any boyfriend, yes? So chances are high that you could have a problem.
If the urine test proves Saidea is pregnant, she will have to leave school that very afternoon. At Masindi Hospital, Amina's pregnancy is coming to an end. She's in the early stages of labour. She and Mohammed's sister set up camp in the maternity ward. Outside the ward, expectant mothers and their female relatives hang around, gossiping and cooking. Only 38% of women in Uganda have their babies in hospital. But even within the health service, birth here is all about self-service. When Mohammed gets the news, he drops everything. At Kamurasi, the results of Saidea's pregnancy test are just moments away. 31% of Uganda's teenage girls fall pregnant. It takes 3 agonizing minutes to see if that will be her future too.
Your test. There's only one line. So it's negative. Chances are high that you don't have a pregnancy.
Are you happy?
When they proved that I was negative, I was very happy. I will never have a boyfriend again.
Once every girl has been examined, Mr. Ntaraho gathers them together to receive their results.
The doctor is very, very, very happy and pleased because he has disapproved me. Because me, a layman who didn't know that kind of exercise, I suspected some people to be under. But then he has disapproved me that I know these girls are really very good. So, thank you for maintaining the name of Kamurasi. Is that it? Thank you very much.
As night falls on the maternity ward, the local preacher is the only man allowed inside. But Amina has been put in one of the side rooms, and desperate to check on her, Mohammed manages to sneak his head round the door.
So everything now at the moment is in God's hands. And prayers, I really want prayers of everybody because it's really, I don't know how I can say, but it's a terrible situation that my madam is undergoing through at the moment. Delivery is something quite beyond one's imagination because there's a lot of things that one undergo through. It is between life and death.
African women are 175 times more likely to die in childbirth than Western women. Amina has no painkillers, but she doesn't make any noise. The maternity ward is a remarkably silent place. Crying out is a sign of weakness here. At 3 minutes past 12, after nearly 9 hours of labour, Amina gives birth to a baby boy. Her new son weighs a healthy 4.5 kilograms. That's well over 9 pounds. Mohammed creeps into the hospital to meet him as soon as he can.
This is great because my third born is a son, to be called Ibrahim, as my father, so he's Ibra in short.
Mohammed is a practicing Muslim, and while Amina rests, he prays for their son.
In Islamic faith, we have a belief that as soon as the child is born like this, you talk some words, God's words, in the ear, or before Satan comes and talks and puts in his words in the ears of the child.
A few days later, Amina and Mohammed take Ibrahim home.
I salute you, Doctor.
Ibrahim.
In Uganda, they have a saying, the laughter of the young is a song to the old, because children are a blessing and their lives should bring joy. Maureen has not gone back to school. She can still be found at Masindi Market. Mr. Ntaraho is planning further medical tests next term. Since filming, another of his students has dropped out due to pregnancy. Sadia is still at school and still without a boyfriend. Mohammed and Amina plan to have more children in future, though the number is yet to be agreed. There's an old saying in Uganda, girls are like fresh banana leaves. They're picked as soon as they're big enough. And that's exactly what Mr. Ntaraho, the headmaster of Kamurasi Primary, is trying to change.
Good morning, Kamurasi Demonstration School.
Good morning, sir.
This morning, his students have gathered for assembly as usual. But Mr. Ntaraho has a serious message for them.
You should say no to sex.
And when it comes to sex education, he favours the direct approach.
Yeah, come. Now, if there are some of you who are always being used by your parents as a source of income, come and tell me.
In Uganda, big families are considered desirable and children are a blessing. Unless you're still at school.
Pregnancy in pupils almost always causes great sadness.
Like the rest of Africa, Uganda is battling with huge teenage pregnancy rates.
Today, I'm saying no more to sex.
At Kamurasi Primary School, they're taking extreme measures to combat the problem. Children as young as 12 undergo compulsory pregnancy testing every term.
At least to 20%. Some people still have that culture that a girl can get married when he's at 14. So some parents still encourage their children to go in for men at an early stage. They are not valuing education.
The threat of medical examination is Mr. Ntaraho's best weapon against teen pregnancy.
I'm planning any time the doctor will come. Might be next week or any time. And when he comes, we shall pick each and every one, whoever has breasts, will go for medical examination.
We want these children to stay as children, and with this examination, we shall still achieve that. Yeah.
One student who has reason to be worried is 19-year-old theyre. Theyre takes school very seriously. She's always the first to put up her hand in class.
Theyre.
Theyre?
Theyre.
Theyre? It is for me important to stay in school because in future I can become important.
One time I had a girl of this size here. They would send her to a boy to get 1,000 shillings so that they could have food. She ended up being pregnant, though it was not her wish. But she was being used as a source of what? Income. Now, this is what we have been campaigning against.
In the fight to keep his female students in school and out of sexual relationships, the headmaster refuses to be embarrassed.
If you know that you have breasts, can you put up your hand? If you know you have a breast on your chest or you have breasts on your chest, put up your hand straight. Now, what about those?
Since joining the school, he has pioneered a system of pregnancy testing.
35% of girls here who have dropped school normally go when they are pregnant. But with this kind of method, it has tried to reduce a bit.
That person, I would like to become a nurse.
At 19, theyre is one of the older students at Kamurasi. She didn't get the chance to start school until she was 12. Her family could not afford to send her until the government made primary education free in 1997. But theyre's enthusiasm for education has had a darker influence on her personal relationships.
I got a boyfriend because I wanted to stay in school. When I met him, I was a virgin. The boy followed me at night. He asked me that he would like to tell me some words. I said no. From there, he cut me and pulled me up to his home. That is when we had sex from there.
Theyre was forced into sex at first, but she continued the relationship in return for school books and pens.